What's going on, everybody? We are here with another video. So this one's actually not too long after the one I just uploaded. Um, but in I first of all, I do have um these set these set of videos I'm going to be doing here in the next couple of days. These are videos that I've been wanting to do. But I haven't been wanting to bring them out. I just haven't got to them or anything like that. But today's, well, this video is actually going to be touching up on something um, a bit touchy and a little bit hard for me to talk about. I I remember that I did actually upload a video, something like this, but I didn't really dive in too deep into something like that. So I'm gonna try to keep this nice and sweet as much as I can. Um, but despite the title of the video, the struggle with anxiety and depression. Now I do want to go over the depression side first. Because that one seems to be more of a touchy topic to talk about, and I do have to um set a record straight a little bit. So there is some people out there. I'm not saying everybody, but there is some people out there who use depression, for attention, for anything like that. But a lot of the time people don't know what depression actually is. Um a lot of people could say it's sadness, all of that sort of shit. But depression is kind of sadness, but depression is sort of not sadness. It's not sadness. Depression makes you feel worthless. Depression makes you feel like a burden to everybody and everything. Depression makes you feel empty. Depression makes you feel like you're not good enough for anything. Now, the the one of the most best examples one of the most best examples to actually know what depression really is like is Chester Bennington. I know that probably a lot of you guys know who that is. The old lead singer for Linkin Park. He was probably one of the most best examples for what depression is. You have you always have this battle inside your head when you're not always, you know, when you're not always occupied on something, when you're alone, when you don't say nice things to yourself. And that's how it kind of is. You put yourself in this loop that, you're not good enough for anything. You feel empty. You feel, it's not, it's all about sort of that sort of kind. I have this saying. It's a saying that I've always, it always stuck with me. And it's one of the most best examples for myself to understand a lot of things. But I have the saying called "You don't care about anything but worry about everything." And what that means is when you don't care about anything, you don't care about anything. You don't care about your life. You don't care about the things that happen to you. You don't necessarily care about anything. But on the other side of the coin, you worry about everything. You worry about the people around you. You worry about, all of the things that you do that, that will have consequences. If you guys are aware of the butterfly effect, you do this one action and it's going to have a consequence for, something else later down the road. That's what it really is like. And it's stayed with me for a long time. And there's been times, It's touchy, but there's times that I've thought about unaliving myself. Um, it happened 3 times. Um, I've tried, you know, the wrist thing. If you guys know, you know. Um, but you know, these days around, I've been doing a lot better than my old self. And I've been doing a lot better these days. Despite, you know, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, when, you know, if you guys watch the channel, I've uploaded all those videos. I've been doing a lot better. Now on the other side of like maybe anxiety, I am one of those people who suffer from social anxiety. This has always been a thing for me. You know, anxiety is one of those things that you always care about what people think. You always care about, you know, how people look at you. You know, you always think the world is out to get you, and you always think that, you know, you're not good enough for people. And the biggest thing is that you worry about everything. And the whole expense of, you know, of other people. You know, there's people out there who say that, you know, you don't need to worry about what people think about you. But, you know, coming from a, you know, from my, like maybe from me, I've always had a problem with, you know, connecting with other people, or as a kid in elementary school, because, you know, I was always the outsider. um and yeah, I was always the outsider. I just never really fit in, because throughout my life, I've went through maybe 2 or 3 different elementary schools. I went through 2 different middle schools, and then thankfully I went to one high school. But I had the chance to switch, but I didn't take it because, you know, I didn't want to be that new kid again. If you guys, you guys will probably know what I'm talking about. Um, but with anxiety comes a lot of stress, and you can only push yourself to do so much without having yourself break. I've had maybe 3 mental breakdowns throughout my entire life. Well, I've had 2 mental breakdowns, but I had one uh, anxiety attack, where the best way I can explain anxiety attack is, think of yourself being in a dark room, and there's nothing around you. You're just in this dark black void, and all you have is a corner. Now, if you sit in that corner all balled up, like crippled, shriveled, and you're alone, and the only thing you can do is try and not panic as much as you can. That's what kind of a that's what anxiety attack feels like. It feels like that you're just in this dark, lonely room in this corner, and you can't do nothing about it. To me, that's what an anxiety attack feels like. And I've had this before. You know, something goes on, something happens, you know, in your life, or if you have a, you know, some kind of altercation or something like that, and you sit there and you have an anxiety attack from it, and all you can do is just sit there and wait it out. That's pretty much the closest thing I can I can compare an anxiety attack to. Is that you you're stuck in this corner, you're freaking out, and um you can't do nothing about it, and it feels like just everything is weighing down on you, and you can't, and you're in this black void, and you feel alone, and things just don't go as planned. And again, as the anxiety, it comes the stress, and when you got the stress, you always got to find a way to drown it out, I guess. When I'm always playing my games, when I'm always smoking these, it's one of my comforts, I'd say, to try to help me survive through the day. And that's my biggest thing that I can do is I listen to music, I play my games most of the time. I always try to find something to drown out all the noise that goes on in my head. I'm always thinking, I'm always overthinking. But in recent times, just a lot of the music, a lot of the games, it just hasn't been helping. And the worst thing that I've always hated. You always know the saying that everything changes around you, but you never change. And that's how I feel. I've watched my life, flash before my eyes the last 10 years. Everything has changed around me, but I still feel like that same person I was in high school. To me nowadays, I'm almost in my 30s, and today I still feel like I'm 18 years old. I still feel like that I'm stuck, in that whole, the whole shenanigan thing I was in high school. And I've never have noticed changed. I've never, even though I try to help myself, I try to change things, but nothing ever seemed to work. And I'm always stuck in this loop of everything. And that's what depression feels like. You don't have any motivation for anything. You don't have any, you don't know what makes you happy. You don't know what your purpose is in life. You feel like a burden on everybody. I've seen a couple of videos out there a few days when, you're standing outside a house, and, and you're standing outside your house, or you're something like that, and you look in the window and you see everybody having a great time with you not there. And that hits hard, really hard. Not only because it's just a video, because I've experienced it myself. I've seen that happen to me before, and it diminishes you when you don't care about anything but worry about everything. It How can I say it will destroy you. That's the best way I can say it is, it will destroy you if you try to do that. And it sucks. It really does. And, just if I could go back to my 18-year-old self, to my 17-year-old self, 16-year-old self, with everything I know today, I would probably, my life would probably turn out differently. And a lot of people would say, a lot of people say the same thing. I wish I could go back and fix it, but, you can't. And all you can do is try to figure out, all this time after. And I know that a lot of people can relate to this. A lot of people can relate. And it's hard, you know? It's really hard. So I got a couple other videos that I'm going to be uploading here soon, but this is already almost 16 minutes long. I didn't even realize how long it was. But yeah, this is about it for this video. You guys are going to see this one and probably another one later, prior to me filming all of this. But there's another story that I have to get out, but this one's a bit touchy for me. A little bit more touchy, you know, compared to depression, anxiety, and all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think that it's about it for this video. And like and subscribe, and let me know what you guys, you know, what you guys going through in the comments. And I'll see you in the next one. See ya.